The Tennessee Titans missed big on day 2 of free agency, but that doesn't mean they didn't make any moves. I'm breaking it all down on today's edition of Locked On Titans.
You are Locked On Titans, your daily Tennessee Titans podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Titans podcast. I am your host, Tyler Rowland. Titans fans, it's a day 2 recap of free agency. The Tennessee Titans missed big on a big target, but they do make some additions and make some other big changes. I'm going to go over all of them with you guys, explain why it's either Cam Ward or Tank in 2025, and talk about how it's clear the Titans are restarting a brand new culture. Before we get into all of it, I do want to thank you for making Locked On Titans your first listen each and every day. Remember, Monday through Friday, Tennessee Titans content all year round, always for free. Make sure that you get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. But again, and shout out to my everydayers out there tuning in Monday through Friday. Couldn't do it without you guys. If you aren't an everydayer, you better be one, because again, there's breaking news all the time this time of year. The draft is right around the corner. You want to make sure that you stay up to date with all of the current Tennessee Titans news that you possibly can, and you can do that here at Locked On Titans. Get subscribed, stay subscribed. It's your team every day. But again, the Titans miss big starting off day 2 of free agency. Jevon Holland, the safety formerly of the Miami Dolphins, goes to the New York Giants on what I thought was a very cheap deal for what we were hearing the market could be for Jevon Holland. It was a 3-year deal, $45 million, only $30 million guaranteed. So really it's a 2-year deal worth $15 million per season. We were hearing that Jevon Holland might get $20 million per year. So the fact that it came in so low was disappointing to me. Again, Jevon Holland just turned 25 years old, rangy in the back end, has ball production early in his career. He's a guy who could grow with the Tennessee Titans. At his age, he could be a part of really competitive Tennessee Titans teams in a couple of years, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when the Tennessee Titans should, in theory, be a competitive team and would have enough time to build this roster back up. Jevon Holland would still be in his absolute prime. So the fact that the Titans not only didn't get Jevon Holland, but didn't get him at the price tag that he came in at, that was completely disappointing for me. And you started to look at the safety market. Justin Reed goes off the board. It's like, are the Titans going to go with a Julian Blackmon, who's always hurt? Are they going to go to Justin Simmons, who's 31, about to turn 32? Are they going to go back to Quandre Diggs? Well, we have our answer, because the Tennessee Titans went to Xavier Woods. Xavier Woods, long-time veteran safety in the NFL. He's been in the NFL for 8 years now. Okay, so a long-time veteran, played a ton of games in his career, 123 games. This is a theme that the Tennessee Titans free agent signings so far have all fit in. Durability. Durability. The number one thing that stands out about Xavier Woods is he plays all the time. 16 games, 14 games, 15 games, 15 games, 17 games, 15 games, 14 games, 17 games. He played the most snaps in the NFL last year. Had 119 tackles, has had 5 interceptions in the last 2 seasons. I would tell you this: Xavier Woods is not as good of a player as Jevon Holland, and the Titans paid Xavier Woods, I think it was $10 million a season. I think is the contract that's being reported right now. 1 year, $10 million. I personally would rather pay up. If I'm honest with you, I would have rather paid up for Jevon Holland. But at the end of the day, Xavier Woods, a 2-year deal, $10 million. That's it. So $5 million per season. So cheap, and it's just a consistent veteran. Xavier Woods is not incredible at anything. He doesn't have incredible range. He doesn't have incredible speed. He doesn't have incredible ball production. He's not incredibly physical. He's not an incredible one-on-one man guy on tight ends. but he's just a solid veteran across the board who's going to be durable, who's going to be out on the field, who's only going to cost you $5 million for 2 seasons. Look, at the end of the day, my big takeaway here from what the Titans are doing is they're just filling spots for the year. The Titans aren't outright tanking. They're not purposefully trying to be as terrible as possible, but they're also not doing anything to sacrifice future draft capital. They're not doing anything to make too many long-term commitments. Dan Moore was a big commitment. But other than that, Cody Barton, 2-year deal, low money. Now, Xavier Woods, 2-year deal, $5 million a year. Like, the Titans are just like, we're punting on this year. We're not signing anything other than an average starting offensive tackle. And other than that, we're not doing anything of note whatsoever. We're just filling holes as best we can for right now. The Titans are just accepting where they're at. They're eating their vegetables. They're taking their medicine. They're not trying to improve the roster. They're just trying to fill holes for the time being with veteran players who are going to be out there on the field because they're durable, even if they're not the most talented players in the world. They're not high-end starters. They're not Pro Bowl or All-Pro level players. The Titans aren't trying to get great right now. They're just filling spots and taking their medicine with solid, durable veterans. And they're probably going to do the same thing at guard because Will Freeze, the top guard on the market, went off the board on Tuesday as well. 5 years, $88 million. Okay, for that price, I don't care that the Tennessee Titans weren't interested in Will Freeze. The Titans weren't even one of the top 5 teams that were going after him. And for that money, 5 years, $88 million for a guard, especially a guard coming off a broken leg, no way I was doing that. So what do the Titans do at guard now? Tevin Jenkins is a young player who's probably the next highest ranked free agent available, but Tevin Jenkins has been moved around a ton of his career. He's had some injury issues. He's had some performance issues, and he's going to be the highest paid guard left on the market. I'm not interested in that. Kevin Zeitler, 35 years old. Okay, I guess you could do that. Similar vein, Brandon Scherf. If you're going to go out and get an older veteran, I would rather go with Brandon Scherf, who's 33 years old, as opposed to Kevin Zeitler, who's 35 years old. So Brandon Scherf, to me, if they want to go with a spot filler like they have with safety and linebacker, and they just want to plug in a veteran who's going to be out there, then go with Brandon Scherf. Whatever, you know. Mekhi Becton would be a high upside pick. But listen, guys, I know that some of you want Mekhi Becton, and if you do, more power to you. But I think the reality here is Mekhi Becton is a guy who maybe isn't the hardest worker and maybe benefits from having a strong locker room culture and benefits from having strong leadership. And the Titans are trying to build their culture right now. They don't have a strong culture like the Eagles did last year. I don't think a guy like Mekhi Becton, without that strong locker room, I don't think he would be a good fit. And he's going to be more expensive than a guy like Brandon Scherf or a guy like Dalton Risner or a guy like bringing back Dylan Radins. You know? Like, I don't see that as a bad option at this point. The reality is you have a big contract at center. Now you have a big contract at left tackle. You have a first-round pick at left guard. You have a first-round pick at right tackle. At some point throughout those 5 offensive line positions, you got to find some value and go with a less expensive option. And I think Dylan Radins as a spot filler at guard, bringing him back, would make a ton of sense. But again, Brandon Scherf, the 33-year-old veteran, would be a nice spot filler as well. But right now, the way it looks, it's Cam Ward or the tank is on for the Tennessee Titans. Today's episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. Taking care of your mental health can feel like a big investment, but it's just as important as taking care of your body. Traditional in-person therapy can cost anywhere from $100 to $250 per session. But with BetterHelp, you could save up to 50% per session. BetterHelp offers a flat fee for weekly online therapy sessions, making professional support more accessible and affordable. With over 30,000 therapists and over 5 million people helped, it's the world's largest online therapy platform, I've worked with BetterHelp before. It was a great experience. The thing I like is they make it really, really easy to switch therapists so you can find the perfect therapist for you, which I think is one of the most critical points of this experience. And therapy isn't just for tough times, guys. It's a great tool for learning coping skills, setting boundaries, and just being the best version of yourself you can be. Your well-being is worth it. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Titans fans, let's continue today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast. The Tennessee Titans signed Xavier Woods at safety after missing out on Jevon Holland and seeing Jevon Holland go to the New York Giants. The Titans also didn't sign one of the top of the market guards and Will Freeze, but I think that's a smart decision based on paying Dan Moore. Now the question becomes, what are the Titans going to do at quarterback? Like, what is going on at quarterback, and what's going on at wide receiver, and what's going on at edge? The three biggest needs for the Tennessee Titans outside of offensive tackle, linebacker, and safety still have not been addressed in any way. And obviously, we start with quarterback. And at the end of today's show, the Titans got rid of Ryan Stonehouse. They got rid of NWI. They got rid of Jack Gibbens. It's a brand new era for the Tennessee Titans, so I'm going to go over those departures. But looking at quarterback, Daniel Jones goes to the Indianapolis Colts, and we're getting reports that the Minnesota Vikings are not interested in a veteran quarterback anymore. They don't want Russell Wilson. They don't want Aaron Rodgers. So that means that one of Aaron Rodgers and one of Russell Wilson is going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then the other one is likely going to go to the New York Giants, which leaves the Tennessee Titans, who only have been reported interested in Mac Jones and Zach Wilson, and Zach Wilson went to the Miami Dolphins. So the only reported and Paul Kaharski reported that the Tennessee Titans are not interested in Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson. That's completely false. That's not happening. The Titans are not interested in those guys. So the only quarterback that the Titans have been reportedly interested in that remains is Mac Jones. And I have said all along that if the Titans bring in Mac Jones, I don't think that they're drafting Cam Ward. I think it would be Will Levis and Mac Jones competing for the starting quarterback job. I think that would be a bad sign if you want Cam Ward. I wanted the Titans to go out and get a Jacoby Brissett, to go out and get a Jameis Winston, potentially a Joe Flacco, somebody who's an older quarterback who could teach Cam Ward the ropes, because Mike Borgonzi literally said at the Senior Bowl that if they got a rookie quarterback, they would want an older veteran quarterback to be able to mentor and teach that rookie how to watch film, how to prepare, how to operate in practice. Well, if you go out and get Mac Jones, that's the opposite of what you said that you wanted if you had a rookie quarterback. So that would lead me to believe that you're going with Mac Jones and Will Levis at quarterback. Now, Jacoby Brissett signed. I think he went to the Arizona Cardinals. Jacoby Brissett to the Arizona Cardinals. So that means one less option down. What the Titans do at quarterback in the next few days, I think, will absolutely inform us as to what they're going to do in the NFL draft. And quite frankly, it's Cam Ward or tank in my mind. If the Titans go with Mac Jones or Will Levis at quarterback, then, okay, maybe they're not tanking, but they certainly aren't going all out to win games, which they are truly taking their medicine, eating their vegetables, taking a step back, blowing it up, rebuilding. Like signing a bunch of veterans for $5 million to just fill a spot with durability, even though they're not high-level players, they're low-end starters, and then getting the exact same thing at quarterback with Mac Jones and letting him compete with Will Levis. Like, that is, if that isn't tanking, that's as close to tanking as it gets, folks. They're not actively being as aggressive as they could be to make the team better. And I'm not asking for a free agency like last year's. Like, that's not what I'm asking for here. I'm perfectly fine with the Cody Barton move. I'm fine with the Xavier Woods move, although I wanted Jevon Holland. That's a fine pivot with me. But if that's what your free agency looks like and you're just filling in spots with cheap veterans everywhere, you can't expect the team to get much better, and especially if they don't get any better at quarterback. And then you look at wide receiver. If they get Cam Ward, who is he even going to be able to throw to? They're not going to be able to trade down with the number 1 overall pick if they get Cam Ward. So it's not like they're going to be able to have multiple top 100 selections from a trade down. They're going to have pick number 35 and then nothing else until 103. 103, yeah. You know what I mean? Like, at that point, they have to consider Cooper Kupp, Amari Cooper, Stephon Diggs, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Like, at some point, you just have to put some competency out on the field if you expect anybody to succeed. NWI, we're going to talk about here in a second, he went to Miami. So right now, the Titans have Treylon Burks and Calvin Ridley and Bryce Oliver and Jaquan Jackson. Those are the Titans wide receivers right now. Cam Ward is going to die if that's who he has to throw to. Mac Jones and Will Levis are certainly not going to succeed in that environment. So what are you expecting? So again, for me, I wanted like Olamide Zaccheaus, Rondale Moore, Elijah Moore, Greg Dortch, somebody in that realm. But with not bringing NWI back, and if you have to take Cam Ward because you don't have a quarterback, well, then you don't have the option to do that anymore. You need to bump that up. You need a real player. I think Cooper Kupp would be the best fit. I would like Amari Cooper as well. That would be great. Keenan Allen, Stephon Diggs, Mike Williams. I'd take any of those guys at that point. But that's where the Titans are at right now with wide receiver. They are going to have one of the worst wide receiver groups in the entire NFL. And there's really not much they can do about it no matter where they go from here. It's going to be bad. And then you go to the edge market, which is the other monster need for the Tennessee Titans. The second most important position in football is pass rusher. There's nobody left. There's nobody left. Azeez Ojulari hasn't even played 500 snaps in a season before. He's a cleanup sack artist. The Titans could use him in the aggregate like, hey, we're trying to moneyball Harold Landry. We'll get Azeez Ojulari. He does cleanup sacks just like Landry does. We'll get Charles Omenihu. He provides versatility from the B-gap to the edge. Maybe if Dennis Gardeck, who's 30 years old, is healthy off an ACL tear, you bring him in for $3.5 million. Josh Uche, he could be a guy. He's only 26 years old. Maybe you bring him in. But those are your best options on the edge. Zadarius Smith, another name. Maybe you bring in 31-year-old Zadarius Smith just to have somebody to fill the spot for a year because this roster's terrible and there's nothing you can do. But at the end of the day, you look at the quarterback situation, you look at the wide receiver market, you look at the edge market, there's no way that the Tennessee Titans, and they still need a guard, there's no way that the Tennessee Titans are filling all these spots with improvements on last year. There's no way. There's no way. So, again, it's Cam Ward or the Titans are clearly punting on 2025. And look, them absolutely doing a mass exodus on any holdover from the Mike Vrabel era kind of tells us a lot. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, even who's going to cut down the nets. Picking your favorites or going with some underdogs, it doesn't matter. FanDuel has everything you need with spreads, totals, and game props. You can stay in the action all tournament long, and FanDuel is super simple to use. And when you win, you get paid instantly. No waiting around. So make sure that you check out America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Titans fans, let's cap off today's edition of the Locked On Titans podcast, recapping day 2 of free agency for the Tennessee Titans. It was a slow start for the Titans. They didn't do much at the beginning of the day, and then later in the afternoon, the news started flowing. We talked about signing Xavier Woods at safety, guard, edge, quarterback, wide receiver, still needing a ton of attention, and there's really not a lot of good options out there, which leads me to believe it's Cam Ward or the Titans are tanking. But the Titans let a lot of players go on Tuesday, and they also replaced one of them. And we start with Ryan Stonehouse, the Tennessee Titans punter, who a lot of us had high hopes that he would be one of the best punters in the entire NFL. But the reality is, after the injury, Ryan Stonehouse was not a great player. And even his second year, the year he got injured, Ryan Stonehouse took a step back from his rookie year. He's a guy who has tremendous power. He can bomb the ball all the way down the field, but he didn't have great control for directional punting. And a lot of the Tennessee Titans coverage problems and punt coverage last year was because Ryan Stonehouse outkicked the coverage. He would kick it too far and too straight of a line drive. He couldn't loft it up and get hang time on it to allow the coverage unit to get down there, and then the returner would have a running start with a lot of space. So it's not all on Ryan Stonehouse, but Ryan Stonehouse's skill set did have a lot to do with the Titans' struggles in punt coverage last year. So the Titans move on. The Titans would have had to tender Ryan Stonehouse as a restricted free agent. It would have been about $3.25 million. The Titans said, no, we're not doing that. And in lieu of Ryan Stonehouse, the Titans go out and sign a former multi-time All-Pro punter in Johnny Hekker. Hekker has worked with new special teams coach John Fossil before. Hekker, again, multi-time All-Pro. He is the total opposite of Ryan Stonehouse. Stonehouse has a monster leg, these big booming punts. Johnny Hekker is not a cannon for a leg. He is one of the worst punters in the NFL in total distance, but he's one of the best punters in the NFL in pinning teams back, in downed punts, in touchbacks. So he kicks the ball high. He lets the coverage unit get to it and prevent big returns, which is what the Tennessee Titans desperately need. So although Ryan Stonehouse is a good punter, I love that the Tennessee Titans made this change because Johnny Hekker is a better punter with directional punting, with hang time that's more conducive to better coverage units. At the end of the day, John Bones Fossil, the Titans' new special teams coach, is one of the best special teams coaches of my lifetime. And this is something that he wanted to do. I'm fully on board with it. And the Titans paid Johnny Hekker less than they would have paid Ryan Stonehouse if they tendered him. So in my opinion, they got a better punter for cheaper. Great move by the Tennessee Titans there. But they also let Nick Westbrook-Ikhine go. And NWI got $3 million a year to go to the Miami Dolphins. Couple of things that I got to break down here. Some Titans fans are going, wait, why would the Titans let NWI leave? He scored 9 touchdowns last year. Well, guys, last year, NWI went into free agency and had no suitors whatsoever and came back to the Titans on a veteran minimum. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine scoring 9 touchdowns was a fluke. He's not that good of a player. It was a fluke the way that it turned out. And the rest of the NFL and the Titans aren't going to be fooled by those 9 touchdowns and to thinking that NWI is anything more than a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. He's not a starting level receiver. He's not a top 3 receiver, and he got paid $3 million a year, which is just a little bit over his veteran minimum. Because NFL teams aren't fooled by the 9 touchdowns. And you may be a Titans fan that loves NWI. He's a fan favorite and all of that. He just doesn't have that much value around the NFL, no matter how much you like him. And I don't really care that the Tennessee Titans let him go. I wanted them to bring him back, but at the end of the day, NWI isn't a difference maker. He's just depth. The Titans could have used that depth, but I'm not going to be mad that they let him go. Like, oh yeah, they could have used him, but it's not a big game changer when it comes to what the season is going to be for the Titans. And then also the Titans are not tendering restricted free agent Jack Gibbens. Dr. Gibby, then to Gibb. Everybody's joking that he's going to go to the New England Patriots right away, which is hilarious and probably true. But at the end of the day, they replaced Jack Gibbens with Cody Barton. You got Kenneth Murray and Cody Barton next to each other. That's what you have. So there's no need for Jack Gibbens. You have James Williams and Cedric Gray behind him. Draft another linebacker. And there you go. Luke Gifford, he's gone as well. And I just want to point out the pattern of these are Mike Vrabel era players. Stonehouse, NWI, Gibbons. Like, those are all Mike Vrabel guys who were brought in under Mike Vrabel. So it makes sense that the Titans are just like, we want a brand new culture. None of these holdovers, none of these below average depth players. We're done with that. We're done. We need to get a whole new culture in here, whole new even if it's a lateral move. Like, even if they bring in a wide receiver that's equal to NWI, we just need new blood in the building. That's what it seems like they're doing, in my opinion. But again, big miss on Jevon Holland, but they pivot to Xavier Woods. That's fine with me. The Titans are clearly just trying to fill holes. It's obvious that they're not trying to go all out to compete this year. And right now, if they don't get Cam Ward, this team is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL once again. Maybe that's by design, and we'll know whether they sign Mac Jones or they get somebody who can actually be a mentor to Cam Ward in the draft. But after yesterday, I was pretty convinced that they were going Cam Ward. After what I saw today, I feel pretty convinced that they're going to trade down. So things are changing by the minute, folks. I'm going to be back with you tomorrow to break down any more news. I don't know how much more the Tennessee Titans are going to do in the first wave of free agency this week. We'll probably see them add some value veterans throughout the next few weeks, names that don't really get you very excited. But again, just fill a spot in a season where the Tennessee Titans know they're not going to be very good. But with that being said, that is going to do it for me today, folks. As always, I am your host, Tyler Rowland, and this was Locked On Titans.